Legacy systems like RPA and traditional CRMs have long been the backbone of business operations. But as AI first models take center stage, the shift isn't just about upgrading, it's about rethinking the entire approach. Today, we'll explore what it really takes to move from workflow driven systems to intelligence first tools. What are the biggest integration hurdles? How do companies manage change effectively? And most importantly, how can they unlock AI's full potential for better ROI, efficiency, and innovation? We again have a fantastic panel here to break it down all for us. Can we have a huge round of applause for Prashant S. Mudwar, Head of Enterprise Systems and Data AI at Equinix? Suraj Rao, Global Head, Advanced Analytics Office at Western Digital. Sanjay Pasari, Senior Director and Head, Innovation and Transformation at UPS. And the session is moderated by Aaron Cascade, Head of IT Security and Facilities at Lightmatter. Can we have a round of applause for the panelists?
Hello.
I'll just get you.
Hello.
All good?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Let's try that.
Hello.
Right. All the technical difficulties are done? Yes? We're all good? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. It was a great panel. I hope I can do such a good moderating job following up. So no shoes to follow, right? So the panel today that we're going to talk about is opportunities and challenges in migrating to AI-first tools. So everybody in this room has already decided there's value. So now we got to figure out how to do that, right? And what are the pitfalls and everything like that. So I have, three really great panels here joining us. We had a chance to all chat before this, and we had a really great discussion that I wish we could have stayed on longer. I wish you guys could all have been part of it. First up is Prashant. Prashant heads IT, data science, and analytics at Equinix. Welcome, Prashant.
Thank you.
And then we have Suraj. Suraj is the head of analytics at Western Digital. And of course, Sanjay, who is the head of innovation and transformation at UPS.
Thank you.
Great. So, gentlemen, we are going to talk in two little sections. We'll try and break it up. And we will start with opportunities, right? So all these AI tools are out there. How do we use them to solve business problems? So, Suraj, why don't you start us off and talk to me about the pillars that you see in AI tooling that have the biggest opportunities out there for you in Western Digital.
Sure. So let me speak a second for a little bit about context itself. So Western Digital is a storage infrastructure. It plays a role in the data infrastructure and storage area. So as a context, we have about 10 factories across the globe, and they are all independently operating, but then in the end, all the material needs to come to the same location for assembly. And then, of course, we ship the drives across the world, right? That's the context. In terms of AI, I would say there are three main pillars, largely speaking. The first is around the new wave of AI. The second area is around optimization, and the third is around simulation. I'll just touch on each one of them very quickly. So on the AI side, we heard about structured, unstructured. So there's a lot of stuff that we do around structured, around predictive quality maintenance, standard stuff that we do across the factories, focused on cost takeouts and improving quality and customer experience around that. And the unstructured is all around what we are hearing about Gen AI, and there's a lot of work going on. And then, of course, now the workflow automation is kicking in with agentic stuff, right? So that's on the AI side. But there's tremendous amount of work that goes on in optimization. I would say a big bucket of that is around operation research in terms of how do you do constrained optimization, think about material, improving cycle times or productivity under cost constraints, things around long-range planning, etc. In terms of capital investments and how do you optimize that. And third pillar is around simulation. And when I say simulation, think about digital twin. How do you simulate a factory, or how do you plan a factory layout design with a simulator so that you can improve throughput and efficiency before you actually make investments on building shop floor equipment in the factory. So I would say broadly those three areas. I'm trying to cut out all the buzzwords in it, but think about it as those are the three areas where we get tremendous value. In terms of value creation, think about it as we probably proved about $500 million in value in the last 4 years or so, and we have communicated that out to various forums.
There are a lot of buzzwords. I'm a big fan of buzzwords here. Prashant, what do you think of that? Any pillars that you'd like to add?
Sure. So a little bit about Equinix. We are Fortune 500, close to 9 billion in revenue. We operate in 33 countries. Every day it changes. And 250 plus data centers which are optimally interconnected. So that's the business we are in. The pillars that I see or classify purely from the business perspective. And there's a first pillar, which is a handful of use cases where AI can become a strategic differentiator for a company, or the insights provided by AI delights your customer to extent they will buy your product over competitor. So those are very few handful in our business. And that's where we really double down and we go a bit bold on that one because the ROI might be like 20x or even more than that. But there is a risk. So we need to be very careful how much we invest in those innovations and carefully monitor and have a proper exit strategy or continued strategy. So that's the number one, first bucket. The second bucket is most of everything else, where we talked about like revenue acceleration, top line, bottom line improvement, risk avoidance, right, productivity, employee engagement. I still classify them as a one catch-all bucket, simply because the ROI is incremental. You will never get 20x, 30x out of that. And what that means from a business perspective, that every business unit will go after you, like, hey, do something for me. And then very soon you start boiling the ocean. You don't know where to invest. And then collectively you wonder, like, hey, am I getting the right value out of this investment, right? So that's where from business perspective, I would pick handful of use cases. Those are directly intersecting with the capabilities that you're building for your strategic goals. So that has to be linked and pick select few where before and after measurement is very clear. And we invested a lot in that area, definitely. And just like, person who was talking about Aditi for the power plants, we have similar use cases, like we predict the capacity, we predict equipment failures, but we are very careful about picking those. And the third one is interesting, and it is coming up, which is improve the generic intelligence of the company, of the organization. And definitely ChatGPT kind of gave us that flavor, how to do that. But what it means is like decision making across the organization improves. And you see that employees can access the data and insights easily without friction and bring those in decision-making meetings. They back up their decisions with the data. It's no more emotional decision. Now, this is not free. It requires a lot of investment. ROI is tough to explain, but a lot of times it is visible. Like, hey, your quality of decision-making improves. Number of meetings get reduced. Number of committees, councils and all, that slowly reduces. But this requires a little bit top-down commitment. And again, not to boil ocean, but requires also the platform level investment, right? And in the earlier panel, people touched upon it. But my estimate is the third bucket will kind of surpass the second one, because if intelligence really improves, well, you don't need a lot of engineers and scientists to solve specific use cases. So that's just my estimation. So those are the three things.
I love it. It's interesting. There's three very different types of businesses up on this podium, and UPS is one of the most interesting, right? A different side of the supply chain than just about everybody. So, what do you think, Sanjay? Any pillars we missed?
Can you say that again? I mean, in terms of what was your original question, I kind of got involved with their conversation.
Right. So we're talking about pillars, right? So when we're picking, these opportunities, what are the things you're looking for in order to define whether this is a program you want to institute or not?
Absolutely. So let me kind of start with a brief context about UPS and why this is important. Of course, UPS everyone knows, and you see all the brown trucks around the clock, in the city, and then bringing a smile to each of your face every week or every 2 weeks, So that's who we are. But in the back end, we move 26 million packages every day, and we own 300 jumbo jet planes. We own 3 airports in US. We have 150,000 trucks and trailers and packages car moving around. Our footprint is in 220 countries. Now, why I am sharing all of this? Because this actually gives us a scale and complexity, which itself is an opportunity as well as challenge as well. Now, let me cut back from that context to, some of the key areas where, as you are asking for pillars, is on two accounts. One is on the operations side of the business, and one is on the revenue or business side of the house, operational. So for us, it's very important. These are all like, today we were hearing about, data is never ready and everyone is exploring with the use cases, etc., etc. But for us, our legacy goes back maybe more than a decade, where one of our most famous use case is our drivers never take a left turn. They are always supposed to take a right turn because that's how we have optimized routes. So we have actually been using AI for our route optimization for a very, very long time, and we are known one of the best. This is actually a use case in many management schools as well. Now, this is one side of the business, and that also leads to a lot of operational efficiency, which we are looking into our operations, whether how do we move our packages inside a warehouse, how do we plan our first mile, middle mile, and the last mile. But more importantly, logistics as an industry is a pretty traditional industry, and our company is pretty young, 118-year-olds, if you guys don't know that. So that also brings, a lot of things which were done in the past in a very set way in this industry now is up for challenge. And I can talk more about opportunities and challenges as we go along the conversation. I don't want to steal the thunder in the first question though, but these are two key pillars where we are kind of investing our energies and focus on.
I think that's great. And I'm going to pick on you one more time. And I'd like to really kind of delve into hidden value that you find in there. And so I think, we all have the face that we show up into the executive meeting with our slide deck and we say, this is what we're trying to achieve. But what's underneath that level? What's hidden, at least at UPS, that you're finding when you start to implement these AI solutions?
A lot of things. Reimagination and discovery is key for us. How do we reimagine entire business, our workforce, our operations, our business, our contracts? And just to give another example is, how do even our employees, we are reimagining everything. So let me give you one specific example, which will kind of lead you towards what's hidden. Traditionally, if you see how a package is priced in a logistic network, it's essentially across your zones and a weight break. That is the simplest way you actually price a package. Now, if you are, let's say, shipping from San Jose to Atlanta, and then your package is weighing like 10 pounds, then you've got a certain weight. But if it's 15 pounds, the rate is different. Today, we are seeing opportunities where we can move away from a traditional way of rating on a weight break and a zone, and then actually make it more comprehensive and more interesting way of rating. So some of these things, when we start digging into something, what we call is a shipping profile of a customer, and now traditionally, again, all those has remained a one size fits all. So those rate charts are there, and as a customer, you have certain discount on that. But today, the discovery for us, those hidden potential is about, can we get away from those traditional rate charts and kind of look every customer at an individual level, go by go by what his Secret profile is in last 6 months to last maybe 30 years, or maybe some of them are with us for last 60 years. So we could have a humongous amount of history with those guys. And so this is just one example, Aaron, and I can talk many.
I love it. And I would love to talk more. I will, though, shift this conversation to some of the challenges, right? And so, Suraj, I have a special place in my heart and my background for manufacturing. And I know that it's not like everything else. So why don't you talk about some of the challenges that you face when it comes to, high-tech manufacturing?
Yeah, sure. So you can well imagine it's an engineering organization. So the skill base is pretty strong. And one of the big challenge we have now today with GenAI coming in is we enabled GenAI access in some limited way in March of last year. And since then, we have let the genie out of the bottle, and we have issues about too many plethora of solutions coming up, and governing that and trying to streamline that so that we don't create risk for the organization is a big issue for us right now. And what we are focusing on is saying that yes, innovation happens from everywhere, but you got to manage it. So right now, my challenge is there are probably about 90 solutions out there in the sandbox waiting to be moved from prototype to production state. 10 or 15 of these have already reached to, I say, partial pilot and scale mode. So now we need to bring all of them back home. So that's one of the big challenges we face with technology moving too fast, which is a good problem, but we need to manage that. And while that is going on, we are driving internally towards what we call as a connected enterprise vision. And the idea is how do you enable informed decision much faster along the whole value chain and the value streams of the organization. GenAI plays a very important role. It's just that the stuff has gone a little bit out of control, and we're trying to put guardrails and get it back into the right space.
I love it. So, Prashant, when we talked, you had a very diverse customer base internally that you're working with. I think you said 17 different business units. That sounds like a lot of fun. So how do you plan with such a broad and so many needy teams that need your effort? How do you plan for that type of diversity?
Yeah, a great question. So like 17 internal business functions, and some of our data products are, customer facing as well. So the way I look at it, like that 17 or 20, 25 number doesn't scare me. So because there is a common denominator. So if you look at it, how the end user consumes AI insight, right? There is a lot of commonality. So there's a foundational part definitely. And what we are trying to do is like across the board, we are trying to productize our data and API enable as much as possible. So based on the persona, like we have some persona, they don't go to dashboards at all. They want to see the insight. They want to see the insights in their own app. If they are approving the deal, they want to see, hey, it is a high risk deal or okay to approve. So some personas love dashboards. They want to look at the performance metrics, keep drilling down, find the reason, get the explainability on the side. And some of them love the decisions is made automatically and they are just informed. But what is common across the board? Like if you look at the productization approach, that every insight has some API that can be consumed in your business processes, and insights can be delivered the way you want, right? Even in the end product. But one of the challenge that we are seeing now is a lot of investment industry-wide that has gone into structured data, like getting insights from your ERP system, CRM, and external data and all structured data. But there is a stats like hardly 40% data exists in ERP. 60-70% actions actually resides in your enterprise content and unstructured data or semi-structured data. And the problem with the ERP data, there are tons of quality issues. So the effectivity is hardly like 20%. But a lot of investment goes to get value out of that 20%. But when we look at the productizing the overall enterprise data, even think of API enablement from the unstructured data and semi-structured data. And that requires some horizontal investment to classify data properly, create a good metadata layer, right? And then in earlier panel, like observability, tagging, that and cataloging that requires as a horizontal investment. So that's how we look at serving multiple functions.
So quick follow-up to that. Are you an enforcer? Are you making people follow rules, or are they giving you the rules to follow?
All over the place. So we have, that's a great question. I would say like we are not very effective enforcing the rules, but what we are trying to do is make it more frictionless when there is zero risk or low risk, and create tremendous friction when you know that there is a business risk with the behavior. So we're trying to get to that level, but it's an ongoing process. A great question.
I love it. The good cop, bad cop. That's the IT standard, right? So we talked about diversity, but I think there's one company above all on this dais that has scale. So UPS has some scale that I think very few companies can relate to. So Sanjay, you want to just talk about some of the challenges at scale for UPS?
Absolutely. And this is something which I live every day actually. All the challenges of this. The challenges are at multiple levels, people to start with. And that is probably one of the biggest challenge. As I said, we are a legacy company with a very, very long standing, and then we have like people working for more than 3 decades. In fact, in my own team, I have a couple of team members who have been there for 3 decades. So people is one of the biggest challenge. The second is, of course, processes, as I was talking in my earlier conversation. Some of these processes has been existing for a few decades now. So even to overcome that, and the last but not the least, and which is my forte, is about driving the technological challenges. So let me give you an example. Still today we have some of our very, very critical applications running on mainframe. Still today we look out and hire COBOL programmers. Now that is just few applications I'm talking about, and another big challenge along with this legacy and this scale is about a lot of homegrown applications. Our company in general, until few years back, like maybe 3 or 5 years, as recent as 3 or 5 years back, was believer of everything has to be built in-house. So everything is custom made. People leave. You have no idea what happened, what's the logic behind the code, what's the platform. So these are some of the biggest challenges we are dealing with. And then the last but not the least, in the introduction also we heard about the data. Data is all over. I was talking about 26 million packages we move every day in our network. Even if we have like 1 to 10 ratio of just API calls, the rate calls which are made to our system, which is pretty minimum, which makes it 260 million data points, just about 26 million packages. Now that's just about even the packages not left the shipper's premises. We already have gathered 260 million data points. Now think of that package being picked up by a truck driver, and it is moving through the network and also ending up at your place and everyone else's place. In the process, it goes through multiple touch points. And then today we have one of the most automated warehouses and sorting centers around the globe. Like again, these are like case studies. So we are generating like tons of data on a daily basis. Most of this data lies in very disparate systems and even disparate geographies. And on top of that, we have to deal with all the data security and the compliances and the governance, because we pretty much have PII of everyone in this country and probably everyone in this globe. We know your address, we know your apartment number, we know your phone number, and we have to be very sensitive about that. And as a leader who is driving innovation, my biggest friction is with my InfoSec guys. And anything I want to do, the first is, no, you can't do that. And for a good reason, for a century, if we have never been sued for data breach, that's for a good reason. But these are key challenges, I would say. There are a lot more small technological challenges, but these are the major ones.
Excellent. I really like the idea of rapid fire question. I'm going to steal that. I promised you guys I wouldn't just surprise you with questions, but that was a lie, it turns out. So the first one is, and we'll all answer this. If you could pick a silver bullet to solve your challenges with AI adoption, what would it be? What do you think, Suraj?
Automate the boring stuff.
Okay, automation. And Prashant?
Like intuitive adoption.
Well, sorry, say that again.
Intuitive adoption.
Oh, okay, adoption, yes. And Sanjay?
Modernize people.
That is quite a silver bullet. I don't know if we can do that. Last but not least, just for everybody here so they can learn something about new tools, because there's so many AI tools out there. Suraj, what is the next biggest AI tool that you're seeing out there that you could just pick up and take today and run with?
Not clear at all. Not clear at all, because there are way too many options, and that causes a whole lot of logjam in the organization. So, and trying to understand noise versus value, it requires us to become smart buyers, which means experimentation has to happen internally. So.
We could probably have a whole panel on just value versus noise. Prashant, what do you think? What's the cool tool out there?
Yeah, so every day new tool pops up, right? Doing a similar thing. It's Ocean right now. But without mentioning name of the companies, there are few I came across. They focus on the business outcome and not the output. And there's a subtle difference, right? Any AI tool can delight you with quick outputs, but doesn't solve the real business problem. It can predict the deal price, but may not increase the revenue, which is the outcome. So we came across some of those, and hit me on LinkedIn, or we can chat offline. Happy to share. The reason I'm not sharing because I'm not completely convinced they are there, but I like the way they are approaching this problem.
Caution. I like that. And Sanjay, how about you?
Well, it's difficult to call out specific name of a tool for many different reasons. But if I have to pick something, I can talk about what specifically we are doing. So LLMs is some, of course, and I can't tell which LLM, but LLM is something we are doing to solve quite a few use cases inside our operations as well as business. And one interesting thing which we are doing is about giving our pricing analyst a capability of a conversational capability to dig insights while they are renewing a contract or writing a new contract. That requires a whole lot of complex analytics at the back end. So we're doing that.
I love it. Well, I think we're out of time. So gentlemen, thank you guys very much. What a great conversation. And I hope everybody learned something new. So thank you very much.